Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. Today, I have the lovely Bonnie Hardie with me. She is owner of Phoenix Rising Coaching, and she also talks about rock solid mindset, which is what we are going to be discussing today. Hello, Bonnie, and welcome to my show.
Hello, Dig. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm really excited to be interviewed by you today.
You're very welcome. I'm really excited to chat with you today and find out exactly what a rock solid mindset means to you, Bonnie.
Yes, I am Bonnie Hardy. Like he said, I am the owner of Phoenix Rising Coaching. I am an award-nominated life enhancement coach specializing in mindset, mental health, motivation. My elevated pitch, so to speak, is I empower midlife women to say bon voyage to the shackles in their mind so that they can live the life of their dreams. And I tell everybody, I'm 61 myself. So when you were 10 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up? What are you doing now? And I was kind of thinking about, what I did want to be and what I'm doing now is kind of similar. And I want people to just don't worry about other people's opinions and don't worry about imposter syndrome and do what makes you happy. As long as you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, or unethical, do what makes you happy and spread the word of kindness throughout everybody and have a rock solid mindset. I love the word mindset. I love saying rock solid life. So this is my jam, talking about mindset, mental health, and motivation. I talk about this every day to tons of people.
Yeah, and you've had quite the journey, Bonnie. I've been watching you on Facebook for quite some time now, and that's how we connected was through Facebook. And so I would love for you to share part of your journey with people so that you can tell them and share with them how you yourself developed a rock solid mindset.
Right. Well, I have been homeless in the past, several different occasions, being homeless, sleeping in a tent, sleeping on concrete, sleeping on grass. And I'm 61 years old now. I have bad knees, so osteoarthritis in both knees. So getting up and down and walking is very difficult for me. So when I was homeless, and I still to this day deal with depression, anxiety, PTSD. I've been bullied. I've been judged. I've had people say, "You blew it, you made bad decisions, you chose to be homeless, and this and that and the other." And people, well, people have just been crazy. Why don't you just get a job? And you see how many things I posted on Facebook about getting a job, how much money, and depression and anxiety, and how you treat people when you bully people. So there's not really much somebody has been through that I haven't been through. Now I've never been married. I don't have kids, so I don't have a lot of experience with that. But I do know a lot of people who have been divorced and have narcissistic ex-husbands and stuff. So, I kind of know a little bit about that. But I was very lucky several months ago to get offered a position as a volunteer ambassador for a hostel that's in a hotel. And I've traveled around several places. You've seen that I was in South Carolina for the summer. Different. I was in just in South Florida for a while. Now I'm back in Central Florida, and I get to meet people from all over the world in this position. It's not a paid position, however, I do get the bed for free in exchange for several things, and I'm very much enjoying myself here. Did we freeze for a second? Are we okay?
Yeah. All right, we had a little
Okay.
glitch, but we're moving on. So go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay, so yes, I'm not sure exactly where we glitched up, but as I was saying, I have a position now as a volunteer ambassador for a hostel and a hotel. So I get to meet people from all over the world on a daily basis and help them out. So I'm in a little bit better shape than I was before. So, but I still deal with stuff and I talk to people about having a strong mindset and say, we all woke up today. Not everybody did wake up today. It doesn't matter where you woke up. You did wake up, so be grateful for that. And I have a little meme for the word mindset using the first letters of the word mindset, spelling it out MINDSET. So the little meme for that is mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific. Again, mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific. So when you put stuff in perspective like that, it's going to be Halloween in a few days. We're getting to the holidays. I know people get crazy for the holidays and just try to power through everything and get with your family, get with your friends, just appreciate that you're alive and you're out there and go outside, get fresh air every day.
Yeah, getting fresh air is huge. And looking at what other people think is a big thing. And we don't always um, allow ourselves to consider how we feel in the face of other people's opinions. And they can be quite painful with things that get said to us, from other people. So, what specifically do you do to help you overcome the words of other people?
Well, sometimes I take into account who the person is, like, as in their relationship to me. Do I know them? Do they only know me through Facebook? Do I know them personally? How long have I known them? What is their general attitude like? There could be two different people that say the exact same thing to me, but I'll take it differently from each one of them based on our relationship. And if you only know me through Facebook, you very rarely have interacted with me. I'm not going to put a whole lot of whatever into what you say. But if you know me very well and there's a few friends that I've confided in that know a lot more about my personal situation than others. I will take that when you say a lot more than somebody that doesn't know me from Adam. I have people say, oh, I was I was judging you because you're living a different lifestyle than most people, where you don't have a stable home, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have kids, you don't have a husband, you don't have this. So I was judging you, and I'm like, well, life is not always husband and wife, a couple kids in a house that you're going to stay in for the next 40 years. That's not the lifestyle people are doing most times anymore. I want to be able to travel. And literally over the weekend, I had to pack my stuff up and move about 20 miles away very quickly. So that was something unexpected. But I was able to just pack up and literally be in one location and another location 2 hours later. So, a lot of people can't do that. So I want that freedom to be able to move around and do what I want and travel and see, United States, eventually the next year again, I want to go overseas. So that's the lifestyle that I want. And it's not for everybody, but for me, it's just myself. I don't have any kids. I don't have a husband. I don't have animals. It's just me. Basically everything I own can fit in like a backpack and a suitcase. So have suitcase will travel, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's beautiful, I think, because it goes to show that you can live a different lifestyle than everybody else. And it's what makes you happy and brings you joy. And that's what we get to have, success and, fulfillment all looks different for each person. It's a very individual journey. And I would love for people to realize that more deeply than they do. So, what would you say to someone who wants to develop a more rock solid mindset in the face of the opinions of others?
Well, I say to reframe your negatives into positives. And like I said, kind of take with a grain of salt what other people are saying to you. And sometimes, if they haven't done anything for themselves, if they're still wallowing in self pity all the time, I'm not really going to listen as much to that as somebody who's really doing what they want. And I understand sometimes change is hard. You can't always just
Mhm.
drop everything and change, but be like a tree and leave. I have more, yes, I have more flexibility in being able to drop stuff and leave because I'm totally by myself. So I understand sometimes you really can't. But we're getting to the end of the year. Got like with 65 days left in 2025. What were your New Year's resolutions for 2025? Are you making them? And I've had people that have said, I judged you and I apologize. I didn't realize all the stuff you're going through. So now I see what you're doing. And I want to inspire people. I want to motivate people. I want to say, even though Bonnie has gone through a lot and is going through a lot, I lost my father over 35 years ago. I lost my oldest sister. When she was 58 years old, about 8 years ago. So I've been through loss. I've been through a lot of crazy stuff. So if I can like muster through that and keep soldiering on and walking through everything, I think not a lot of people have a lot of excuses. I don't have a car. There's a lot of things I don't have, but I think about what I do have, and I'm
Mm.
grateful for what I do have. That's why I said reframe your negatives into positives. Be grateful for what you do have, and don't dwell on what you don't have. Everybody, even the richest person in the world, has stuff that they don't have. And they say money can't buy happiness, so it kind of can a little bit. Any problems I have, if I had a lot of money, would solve every single one of them. However, sometimes money isn't everything. Although I wish I could wake up tomorrow morning and have $5,000 more in my bank account than I do right now, but that's okay, you know. But
Yeah.
just soldier on and keep going, and keep swimming, and it's going to get better. Just don't get. I understand getting depressed and upset about stuff. But try not to stay in that state. I have friends that I have code words we use that if I'm getting in deep, we talk about stuff, because even though I am a mindset coach, sometimes I'm not going to have a positive mindset all the time. There is such a thing as toxic positivity, where you're always
Hmm.
so happy, happy. But I'd rather be a positive Patty than a negative Nelly, right?
Right. And I call it the human factor, Bonnie. We all
Yeah.
have moments where that the heaviness of life gets to us, and we're allowed to have those moments, and we can cry or, take a walk, whatever, or all of the things, cry, get mad, whatever, as long as we're doing it in a healthy way, then
Right.
we can allow ourselves to have those emotions, because pushing them down and pretending that we don't have them is no good for anyone, especially ourselves, because that stuff gets stored in our body, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
come out somehow, some way.
Definitely. It comes out in stress, high blood pressure, headaches, stomach aches. It comes out in a lot of stuff. And, I see people, and I always tell people, stand up straight, open up your chest, kind of go like this, because you're always slumped over and you're crushing your lungs and you're crushing like your stomach. Stand up straight, take a deep breath, and just breathe in and fill your lungs up, and that's going to make you feel so much better. And I journal a lot. I journal. I've wrote about that, and I have a unique system for journaling, the red, green, and yellow system. And I use red, green, and yellow system for like almost everything in my life. So like when you wake up in the morning, if you're journaling and you had a good night's sleep last night, you had some cool dreams, write that down. So write that in green. If you woke up and you didn't get a lot of sleep last night, you're in a bad mood, you had terrible nightmares, journal that in red. And if everything is kind of not great, not bad, journal that in yellow. And you can journal any time of the day. If you had a journaling at night, if you had a great day, journal in green. Bad day, journal in red. Bad day, journal in yellow. And then you'll notice a pattern after a while. If every single Monday morning you're always journaling in red, that may say you don't like your job. If every single Friday night you're journaling in green, that may say you don't like your job because it's the weekend. So, or if you're around certain people, then they just bring you down. You keep seeing, I talk to so and so and they upset me. Maybe you need to pull back from them. Or I talked to so and so, they made me feel so great and happy. Talk to them more. So you'll notice patterns on different things, and that's why I like to use my green, yellow, and red method of journaling. And journaling is very healthy and cathartic. Just write out everything. Nobody's going to see it. It's like a diary. Write out what you want. If somebody upsets you, whatever, get it out. You
Yeah.
can crumple it up and throw it away later if you want. Get it all out. Don't keep it stored in your body. Because, like I said, that's going to manifest itself in other ways. And you don't want to spend your money on a lot of medication to handle your blood pressure, your headaches, and stuff like that. I'd rather you spend your money on doing something that's going to help you. Adopt a kitten, read a book, something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the red, yellow, green. I'm not sure how well the yellow shows up. Do you, I mean, like, I know people are probably thinking, how does yellow show up on the paper? But I love the way that you would be able to see patterns on the paper by journaling in the different colors. I feel like that's really cool. And it is a great way to go back and look for clues. Like you said, that's incredible, Bonnie. I love that.
Thank you. And if you hold it up and you see like a whole lot of green, then you're doing good. And even though yellow doesn't show up quite as much, that's kind of still going to give you a baseline. If you keep seeing a lot of yellow, that's not great, but that's not bad. It's like getting, a C on a test. You're not the
Right.
best, you're not the worst, but it gives you room to improve, or you could kind of see, because sometimes, you know, um, you just have to figure it out. And nobody's ever going to be green all the time. Nobody's ever going to be red all the time. However, if you have
Right.
one week where you're mainly red, what is going on? What do we need to do? If you have one week that's mainly green, yeah, keep it up, keep going. And who or what or why, when or where makes you happy? certain places, this is my happy place. My happy place is sitting in a corner of a library, reading a book, having a kitten right next to me, having drinking some iced tea. That's my happy place. That's what I like. My unhappy place is being around people who are moaning, crying, complaining about the craziest things, you know? So try to be in your happy place as much as you can be.
Yeah, give yourself those things that bring you more joy. And like you said, noticing that in your journaling. What would you say to people who have a hard time journaling or just plain old don't like it?
You know, well, if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to do it. I do suggest you try to at least gauge in your mind certain places or things that make you upset. I mean, you can journal by writing out, you can journal by typing it out or whatever. Just kind of, you know, your feelings because your physical things. There's sometimes I get around certain people and I can tell I'm gritting my teeth, I'm getting a headache. I don't want to be around this person.
Yeah.
So kind of gauge that too. If every time you have to go to work, your stomach is boiling because you don't like your job. I know sometimes you can't quit your job, but try to start planning things to what can you do to make stuff different. If there's somebody you don't get along with, I don't need to be best friends with anybody. I need to get along with and respect people to make everything better. So sometimes you got to kind of eat a little humble pie and back up. Okay, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You were right. Make them feel better. Even if you don't truly feel that, sometimes you have to placate somebody else. So just try to, if you don't like to journal, just try to, you know, write stuff down. If you don't like journal, don't you need to write it down. But try to like, just, I don't know, think about stuff a lot more and just kind of, I'm in this space and I don't like this, so I'm going to go to this space.
Hmm. Yeah, I love journaling too, Bonnie. I do it every morning. Well, I can't say every morning, almost every morning though.
Yeah.
And because I journal about how I slept that night. And, I always start out by saying good morning because here I am, like,
Yes.
and I feel like it is a good morning. Whether I feel, kind of crummy or not is another story. Usually I wake up pretty good though.
Right.
But I'll journal about, how I'm feeling and my dreams that night, if I had any, if I didn't remember any, my experiences the day before, because I usually journal in the morning. So I'll journal about my experiences the day before. And I did actually have an interesting experience yesterday, Bonnie. I went to the
Okay.
spring because I just needed to be in nature. I just started feeling really emotional and things just felt a little chaotic in my mind. So I
Right.
wanted to go to the springs because I love the old cypress trees. The
Mm-hmm.
water always just grounds me, and I just feel that
Mm-hmm.
peace of the of nature. Nature is
Right.
really amazing. And I was talking to this lady that I bumped into, and we had spent a little bit of time. She asked me to go for a walk with her, and we had spent a little time together. And then we met a couple other ladies, and one of them is a musician, singer,
Mm.
songwriter. And I asked her, are you on YouTube? And she said, yeah. So I looked her up on YouTube right there on the spot and listened to her newest song. And it touched me so deeply. It like spoke to exactly where I'm at in my personal journey right now. It was absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm an emotional being, like we all are, but I'm like super emotional. So I
Right.
started crying. I always have my little Kleenex or something in my pocket to wipe my tears away. I never apologize for them though. So I'm like crying and everything. And then we all part ways,
Yeah.
except for the lady that I had been walking with. And we walked out to our vehicles. And as we're walking out to our vehicle, she was like, I just don't get this crying thing. And I was like, what? And she's like, this crying thing. She goes, this is new. She goes, people didn't used to do this, it's not. And I said, well, because
Right.
we are taught to not cry. We are taught to hold that emotion in because it's
Right.
the sign of weakness to a lot of people. And she said, well, she said, I feel, and that's how she feels. I feel like when you cry, it shows that you're weak. And I said, well, I'm not weak. And she said, yeah, but I
Right, for
wasn't
sure.
raised like that, and she's had all these experiences where these women are like strong women and they don't cry because they basically just don't have time. And it's like this frivolous thing that we shouldn't be doing because it makes us look weak. And she's like, I don't mean to offend you. And I'm like, I'm not offended because we all get to look at things however we look at
Right.
things, right? So I wasn't offended by it. but I felt so curious about it. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine this morning about this very thing because I'm like, I'm really curious about why this was brought up to me in this way at this point in my
Mm.
life because it's so curious to me because I encourage people to cry. I feel like one of the ways we can easily show support, nonverbal support to someone, is just to hand them a Kleenex when they're crying. We don't have to do a lot. We don't have to say a lot, but that lets
Right,
them know I'm okay with you crying. Here, have a Kleenex. You're good with me right now. I'm going to hold
right,
this space for you. So I thought it was really curious
right.
that that was brought up in this way to me because she was very adamant about this crying thing.
Mm. Sometimes it makes people uncomfortable to see other people cry. I mean, I
Hmm.
had a call with somebody one day, and something really bad happened, and to me a few days earlier, and like less than 5 minutes into the call, we're both crying. And some there were times where it's like 10 minutes, we're not even talking, we're just crying, and it felt so good afterwards to let the tears out. I mean, we went through a lot of napkins and stuff like that, wiping away our tears, and our faces all splotchy for a while, but it made us, feel better that we got it out.
Hmm.
Sometimes you laughter, crying. Sometimes I found if somebody has upset you, you say in a nice way. Don't want to be accusing anybody, but when you said this to me, this is how that made me feel. And if they
Hmm.
were the type of person that says, whatever, I don't care. Maybe you don't want to talk to them, but okay, Bonnie, I do apologize that I made you feel that way. Because sometimes it's the way you talk to people. When you did this, I did this. It's like, so you
Hmm.
have to watch your tone. Don't be
Yeah.
accusatory, but okay, when this happened, this is how that made me feel. See their reaction. Some people don't give a poop if they hurt other people's feelings, if they don't care. You're really not the type of person I want around me. I want to be
Right.
around people who are compassionate and appreciate others and don't act like they're better than anybody else. Because we all get up and put our pants on one leg at a time. So nobody's
Right.
better than anybody else, no matter what job you have, no matter how much money you're making. Don't get off your high horse, because when we die, our casket's all going to be the same size, and you can't take the toys with you when you leave. And I want to, have people have good memories of me. Even if I leave one hospital, go to another one, I want other people to say, "Oh, I know. I remember I was here before, and Bonnie was here again. Gosh, so she was really, really cool. I really like her." And say, and I want to enhance any of the hotels that I go to. I want to make it easier for them. So I want to have a good legacy that people are like, oh, Bonnie, you're really great. I'm so happy to meet. I went. I'm going to start my own podcast eventually. I've been on a lot of podcasts. I went to Podfest this past year. That was here in Orlando, and like 4 or 5 times, I had somebody say, Bonnie, it was a friend of mine from Facebook. So for me to be recognized like that, hey, Bonnie, it's nice to meet you in person. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. That made me feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice to be acknowledged like that. It does feel good. I love it
Yeah,
when Wayne Dyer talked about this a lot. He said it feels really good, and
mm,
he liked to be acknowledged and praised basically by the people he was impacting. He goes,
yeah,
however, I don't need it, and I think that's the really huge differentiating
right,
factor is that we get to feel solid in ourselves, rock solid in ourselves, Bonnie,
right,
even when we're not getting the accolades from other people. That's really important. But it
right,
is nice to have them at the same time. It really is nice to have those. So, what would you say to
right.
people about? I mean, like, I feel like I've asked this question before already, but what would you say to people that aren't getting those accolades from other people? Because there's a bunch of us out here, Bonnie, in the world that don't get the accolades from other people.
Right.
So, how, in the face of the absence of that, do we remain in a rock solid mindset?
I will write down my own personal accomplishments. What have I done?
Yeah.
What have people said about me? And I know everybody in this world is kind of like a me, me, me. And I tell people, and I try to do myself, I try to praise people every day for stuff. I see somebody and it's like, hey, I love your earrings. I love that dress. You have to think about your accomplishments, what you have done. What if you have kids, what your kids have done. And what people would think about you. And it's good to get and it's good to receive, but you'll find that if you start giving compliments to people, you'll start getting compliments back. And granted, you shouldn't go through our day always wanting compliments.
Right.
You have to do that in your own mind. But I've also switched my mindset to say it's an honor for you to be in my role. Okay, I don't want
Hmm.
to be too cocky and stuff like that, but for other people to, I don't let a lot of people in close. And if you're going to say stuff to me that I don't appreciate, you're not going to be in my roles very long. So you've got to flip the switch, you know what I mean? Change it a little bit and say, you know, I may want you in my life, but I don't need you in my life. You may not like me or whatever. That doesn't matter. You need to
Yeah.
respect me because if you're not going to respect me, we're going to have a talk about something. Maybe we need to bring somebody else into it. But I only want people in my life who are going to be respectful. Write down your accomplishments and write down what you like about yourself
Yes.
and make the
Internal
list as long
dialogue,
as you
right?
want. Yes,
That's so
yes,
huge. We get to believe in ourselves and we get to know the good things about ourselves
right,
and the things that we're good at. And it's not bragging. It's not
right,
bragging. And I love that you said you're good at what you do and that your quest is to bring a more, like just unique experience and spread joy and impact people in that way at each
right,
hostel that you are going to. I love that you're doing that and that you own that's the energy you're putting out there because it's so important for us to stand in our power and know what we're good at.
right, right. I want to be the type of person that when I walk into a room, when I contact somebody, they say, "Oh God, oh great, Bonnie's here, nice to see you." Instead of walking in the room and say, "Oh God, Bonnie's here, what's she gonna do now?" I
Right.
want to walk in and have people greet me and say, "Hey, Bonnie, nice to see you again. How you doing? Glad you're here." Then, oh man, Bonnie's here. Go, 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 go. I
Yeah.
never want people to feel that way about me. But sometimes
Yeah.
people aren't going to like you, and there's times where, for better for worse, sickness and health, so that's to his part. We're committed together for a while. You
Yes.
might not like me, but I might not like you, but we have to cooperate. We don't need to be best friends.
That's
We need
right.
to cooperate and be professional and do what's in the best interest of everybody around us, not just us. We may not like each other, but you don't need to tell each other personal stories about whatever. Just you do your thing, I do my thing, whatever. We'll do this business wise. We don't
Yeah.
need to be friends. Just if I need something, if you need something, do that, and then that's it. We don't need to have 25-minute conversations about stuff. Just do what needs to be done and make everybody happy. It's not just about us. There's always other people involved, no matter where you're at your job, with your family. Other people are involved. Sometimes it's for the good of put us back a little bit and help somebody else out even more than you help yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very true. We do have a lot of impact on other people. Impact we don't often realize that we're
Right,
having. Someone can even just be passing us while we're in a conversation with someone else, and we never see them again, but they're impacted by the words that are
right,
exchanged in our conversation as they go by.
right, right.
It's really
Sure.
amazing. And because I know I've had that experience before where I've, been like that kind of out on the outside looking in at a
Right.
situation and been like, holy cow, like
Yeah.
that's either really impactful in a good way or like, ooh, that was rude right
Yeah.
there, you know?
Sometimes I've heard conversations and people talking about stuff, and I'll be like at a restaurant or someplace, and two of the employees are talking bad about a manager, and then the manager walks in, and then they're all best friends.
Hmm.
So it's like I want people, to be honest to my face and honest to me behind my back. Don't be talking about me in a bad way behind my back unless you said something to me about the situation. We can
Yeah.
discuss this as adults.
Hmm.
So, like I said, don't always worry about other people's opinions of you. You know you're a good person. You write down your own accomplishments. Sometimes I've done on Facebook, I call it a big me up post, where I write down my accomplishments, that I've been
Yeah.
nominated a couple of times for awards, that I've helped people, that I've done multiple international podcasts and summits, that I've been in magazines, that I've written articles, that I've asked to be doing different things. Now, honestly, if I had a lot more money, there'd be a lot more things I could do.
Hmm.
However, we're working on that. So, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have and my limited resources. And I defy anybody else to be in my exact position. Even when I was homeless, even right now that I'm not, be in my position, go through all the stuff that I go through and see how do you wake up every day. You know, when I
Hmm.
was homeless, you saw that I was just putting stuff up, that I was sleeping on concrete. Literally, my backpack was my pillow, and I was still waking up every day and being positive. A lot of people are
Hmm.
like, I didn't even know you were homeless. I'm like, is it going to change anything to let you know I'm homeless? You know,
Right,
unless you have a lot
exactly.
of money to give me or something I can do to help you, so you can give me some money for coaching or something, so I can get a roof over my head. It's not going to change things to moan and cry. And you know, we had the two hurricanes last year in 2 weeks in Florida, so that was a scary situation to go through. But it's like, you know, I went through it. I survived it. The Gloria Gaynor song, I will survive. It's like I've survived a lot
Yeah.
and I'm going to survive more. And it's like, just keep walking, just keep swimming, just keep moving. Things are going to get better. You know, you're swimming out in the ocean and you see the island and you're swimming, and you're not getting there. And then you stand up and the water's to your ankles. And you're like, you look back
Right.
and you're like, oh my God, I swam like 50 miles. It's like, think of your accomplishments.
Yes.
And don't let anybody put you down because, you know, sometimes I understand if somebody's being mean to you, it's easy to clap back and say something, be defensive. But
Hmm.
you've got to be careful because what I'm saying, I believe and it's true, but it's the way I say it. If I accuse you of something, I'm being rude, you're going to get rude back or we're going to go back and forth. Just in a nice way, say whatever you have to say. If you can solve the problem and everybody say, I'm going to call friends again, that's fine. But words hurt, you know, and sometimes words hurt more than something physical. The mental stuff stays with you just as much as the physical stuff stays with you. So be careful of your words to others.
Yeah, it's very true. And at the same time, Bonnie, I would encourage people to understand that they have a choice of whether to believe the words that are said to them or not to believe them. Because I've been in multiple toxic relationships, and in one of them, he was, I mean, extremely proud of himself for the words that he used. He would say, "My words are my sword." He would say that often. And, finally, I had a visualization that
Mm-hmm.
happened in my head. And I've talked about this on other podcasts where each thing he said, it happened so fast in my brain, but, I can't say it as fast as it happened. But each thing that he said, I would see this on this giant piece of
Yeah,
paper in my brain. And this pen would come and write down that thing. And I would ask myself, is that true about me? And I would say, no, it's a lie. And the pen would mark a
right,
line through it. And then the next thing would be said. And I would say, is that true? No, it's a lie. So we get to decide what we believe.
right,
We can't control what other people do or say, but we can control whether we
right,
stick around for it. Number one, like you said, you can leave the situation.
right,
Most times you're able to do that. Even if you're in a discussion that's really
right,
heated, you can always say, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to
right,
the bathroom. And then you can go because no one's going to question that, right? No one's going to be
right,
like, no, you don't have to go to the bathroom.
right,
You're not
right,
saying you have to use the bathroom. You're just saying you have to go to the bathroom. And there's a
right,
subtle difference. So you're not actually lying about
right,
anything. And it's a break, right? And I always like to say also, just don't say hold that thought before you leave to go to the
right.
bathroom.
You don't
Because
want
that
them to
way when
hold
you
that. You
come
want to take it
back,
back and something different. Yes.
yeah, because then that breaks the cycle of thought. It interrupts that thought process and it gives you both a little bit of a break so you can come back to a situation if you come back to it.
Right.
Sometimes you're able to just, move on down the line, but I feel like it's really important for people to understand that we can choose whether to stand there and take it, and we can choose whether or not we believe what they say.
Right. And there's also one other thing that's the power of one word. When you say, I have to or I get to, it's
Hmm.
like, I have to go to work today. I have to do this. I have this. No, you get to go to work today. You get to help others. You get to do stuff that's going to help you make money. You know, I get to, you may not want to have to take your car in to get the oil change, but that's something that's going to help you. So it's like, oh, you know, I have to, I have to, I have to. Sometimes just changing one word to I get to, start changing that word have to get to, and then see how it changes your mindset. And it's like, oh, okay. Because sometimes when you say I have to, then you're like putting a smidge point on it, and it's you have to, but I get to, and that makes you think of your emotions when you're saying it. Usually, I get to. It's not I have to.
Yeah.
So think of your
Yeah.
emotions, how your body reacts, and then start going to I get to, I get to, I get to.
Yeah, there's so much difference in the energy of those two words. And I remember
Mm.
this time that I was around this girl and she was complaining about she had to go home and do all this laundry. I have to do the laundry, blah, 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 and it was like this heavy chore. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but you get to go home and do the laundry. And she looked at me like I just grew another head. I'm not saying I get to, she said. And I was like, oh, but we get to be grateful for all the things. I mean, think about it. You have laundry to do, which means you have clothes, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have
Right.
laundry. So you have clothes, you have a
Right.
washing machine, you have all of the things you need to do the laundry. You have running water, hot and cold, I'm guessing, right?
Right.
So that's something to be grateful
Yes.
for,
Yes.
which means you also have a house, right? So you're grateful for
Right.
that and you are able to do it, which means you have two hands and you're able to walk in there and you
Yeah.
have the mental capacity to do it. So there's all of these things that are tied up in just that one chore. And I'm
Right.
sure I left out a few that make it something that you have a whole list of things that you could be grateful for instead of being so upset that you have to do it.
Yes, and that's why I always encourage people to reframe your negatives into positives. For
Hmm.
instance, when I was homeless, sleeping outside, obviously sleeping outside was the hugest negative ever. However, I switched that to say, hey, I'm outside, I'm getting fresh air
Hmm.
and feeling the wind on my body, and I get to look up at the sky at night and see the moon and the stars, and I learn about astronomy. So I
Yeah.
wasn't denigrating being homeless, saying, "Oh, I'm happy I'm homeless, I'm happy I'm staying outside," because I wasn't. However, that was what that was like my reality at the time, so I couldn't change it. I could change the way I looked at it and
Yes.
say, you know, some people are like, oh, well, you're celebrating being homeless. You must want to be. Well, no, I don't want to be, fool. Nobody wants to be. I'm trying to get stuff out. And if you're not going to help the situation, don't make it worse. But I could literally wake up in the morning and see where the moon was and kind of know about what time it was. I didn't have to look at my watch.
Hmm.
So, and on a really clear nights, I could see like the North Star and all these different constellations. So it's not that I wanted to learn astronomy, but that was like a side effect of being homeless, learning about astronomy. So I kind of flip it that way, not being flippant about it, but I'm like, if this is my lot in life right now, this is how what I can do to try to make it better. So I'm not wallowing in this because you saw how many times I was very positive on Facebook. And if I would have been so negative all the time, now there were times I posted stuff that was negative. It wasn't very often, but if every time I was posting stuff, I was being negative, you'd have been, oh, I don't think I want to be friends with this chick anymore. She's just too negative for me. Be like, gosh, I see Bonnie going through a whole lot of things, and she's still getting up in the morning and being positive. So I
Hmm.
want to get to learn more about this chick, and we can be buds and stuff like that.
Yeah. And when we express our gratitudes, that leaves room for more
Right,
things to come in that we're grateful for. And look how your
right,
situation has changed in just
yes,
a very short amount of time, actually, Bonnie.
yes. Yeah, so I was in the right place at the right time, showed leadership qualities. I was literally a guest at one of the hostels in a different location, and I had talked to the person who was the ambassador, and then the owner contacted me, and I'd already met the owner of the hostel before, so he knew me and stuff, and I'd been a guest in two different locations multiple times, so I knew the whole everything about being a guest. And then he says to me, do you want to go up to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina and be the ambassador for 4 months? I said, well, let me think about that. Yeah. So literally on a Sunday, yeah, okay, think about that. Literally on a Sunday, I was a guest of one in Central Florida, and then on Monday, I was the ambassador of one in South Carolina, 500 miles away, and I've been doing that ever since like basically April 1st. So I'm like, because I show leadership qualities, and they put me in some locations that they could use a little bit of help. I could help the hotel make the hostel better, help the hostel make the hotel better. So like, okay, we're gonna move you. We're gonna come in, and this is what they need help with the most. Work with the hotel staff, work with it, straighten stuff out, and I train some of the people. In certain situations happen, This is how you handle it. And sometimes they still need me to come in, but sometimes it's not that bad. So every single day is something different. But
Yeah.
it's cool to kind of see what's going to happen today, who my guests are going to be, where they're going to be from, what kind of help they need, and how I can help the whole hotel with the hospital to make sure that all my guests are having a good time and all the hotel guests are having a good time, and the hotel staff is happy with what's going on.
Yeah. And I would love to add that you've had some pretty stellar experiences. You've stayed in places that were like where you got to be walk on the ocean shore every day
Mm-hmm.
and, enjoy the sunshine and just like you've had some pretty amazing opportunities already to enjoy things that a lot of us don't even get to enjoy, even though we have jobs and a house, Bonnie.
Right. So that's yeah. So I'm very grateful for that, and I try to enhance the hospital. And I'm also working a lot on getting really good reviews. And I got an excellent one yesterday. And I asked the guests to mention my name specifically, talk about the hostel, talk about the hotel. And I've had people that I've given them tours of the hostel and the hotel. Like, I really like this. I'm going to come back with my family, stay in the hotel.
Yeah.
They're like, that's really really cool. So I'm always trying to enhance the hotel too,
Yeah.
because we're staying there. Sometimes guests will come here, stay in the hostel, and then they'll come back later with family and stay in the hotel. So it brings money to everybody and stuff like that. It makes everybody happy. I'm coming here because I saw that Bonnie was here and she showed me around, and I think this is a really cool place to be. So I try to enhance everybody as much as I can.
Yeah, that's amazing. So for people who may be interested in staying in a hostel, what is the price ranges for the ones that you personally have been in?
Generally, for the hostels that I am at, anywhere from $35 to $45 a night. Sometimes you can get it less than 30. Kind of depends on if it's a Wednesday and you go in advance. Very rarely is it more than $50 a night, and even usually the $50 a night one. That was the one in South Carolina because I was right on the ocean, and it was it was like Fourth of July weekend, so it's going to be more. And the one I'm at now, most of our locations have three bunk beds in each room, so it's up to six people, and they are either one room is always female only, and the other rooms are mixed. So you can get a mix of people. People come in and go out every single day. You can go to bed with two people in the room, and you wake up. There's four people in the room. You meet people. There was one time we had six people in the room. Everybody was from a different country. So
Wow.
it was like really, really cool. And everybody's trying to speak in different language. And I'm always learning about the other countries, like what is their money compared to our dollar? How do they celebrate certain holidays? Now we're getting close to Christmas. How do you celebrate Christmas in your country? Sometimes I had two Irish lads came to visit me while I was in South Carolina. They brought an Irish flag. So we went outside, hung it on the balcony, and then we took a picture holding the flag outside, in the yard of the hotel, taking a picture of the Irish flag on the balcony. And when I took a picture with the guys when they left, they're holding the Irish flag up. So it's like, yeah, that's really cool. So I always want to have a stellar experience. And I don't like to say the word sacrifice. I say the word exchange. You're
Hmm.
exchanging privacy for meeting, saving money, meeting new people. And at any of the hostels that I'm at, you get full use of all the hotel amenities at a hostel price. So some of them have free breakfast, some of them have games in the lobby, some of them have a gym. So it's like and always enhance the hotel itself. Be very polite to the hotel people. Go to the local businesses around and stuff like that. So I always say be very respectful to all the hotel employees. That's very important. Be respectful to myself, to the other people in the room. Don't make a mess. Be cool. And I've seen people, they met like yesterday, and now today they're going out to Disney together and stuff. It's like that's really cool. They're going to Universal Studios. They're going shopping at the Florida Mall. So it's like, and then I'm still friends with people that I met during over the summer with in South Carolina. So you make long term friendships and stuff doing this, even though it's hard to make friendships because people come in and go out so much. But some people I really connected with, and
Hmm.
I've seen people at two different locations. Hey, I thought your name looked familiar. You're over here. Now you're over here. So now we're get to talk again.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I love it. And so let me ask you this question, Bonnie. How has shifting from sleeping on the concrete every night to doing this ambassadorship at these hostels and having a bed every night and a roof over your head. How has that shifted your mindset, or do you feel like it has?
Yes, it has. I feel a lot more secure. I feel safer. You know,
Hmm.
if it's really cold, I don't have to worry about it. If it's raining, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about when I'm sleeping in front of a restaurant that's closed overnight that something happens and the silent alarm goes off and then police come and they're shining their flashlights at me. I don't have to worry about trucks coming and delivering stuff, making a lot of noise. So
Hmm.
it makes me feel, a lot more secure, and I can, just relax. Because people would say before, when I was homeless, well, why don't you get earplugs or blindfold over your eyes so you can't see? It's like I've got to be alert and I got to be able to see everything.
Right.
I've got to know what's going on around me. And I realized, and I was even telling the guest yesterday, I said, when I was homeless, I very rarely rolled over to the other side and had my back out because I always have to be aware of what's going on in front of me. I don't want to have my back out and have somebody come up behind me. But now when
Right.
I'm in the hostel, and generally once all my guests come in for the night and everybody's safe home, so to speak, then I can roll over and face the back and I can sleep comfortably. So it's like I can breathe, I can
Wow.
relax, and know that I'm safe. Know there's a bathroom there, but I know that I'm not going to have somebody come by and wake me up or aggravate me or somebody and wanting stuff and me to worry that somebody's going to steal my stuff. So it makes me feel a lot better. I feel a lot more secure, which helps with other parts of my life because I'm getting much more sleep.
Hmm.
I'm eating better. It's like, okay, just you're safe, you're okay, relax. I do cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm a CBT coach practitioner, so I use that on myself. Go through the whole situation, and it's like, okay, relax, you're fine. Get a good night's sleep, meet new people, eat better. Okay, you're okay. I just have to
Yeah.
tell myself, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay.
You have to remind yourself of that often.
Yeah, so not as often as I used to, but I still have to remind myself because sometimes I still have that mentality,
Yeah.
and I have to try to break through. But so usually it's not too bad, but sometimes I still have to remind myself, you're okay, you're safe, relax, breathe. Okay, get some sleep. Take a nap in the afternoon and get some sleep.
Yeah. That's great. I'm so happy for you, Bonnie. For people that haven't heard of CBT, can you explain what that is and how that works?
Yes, that's cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically like resetting situations. You can't always reset your situation. However, you can reset your mind towards that situation, and you have to think of things in a different light. And it's like, okay, sometimes stuff is not going to be the same all the time. And I just show people how to switch their emotions around stuff. And what got you into this situation? We can do something to get you out of it, and you got to change your mind, which is why I say reframe your negatives into positives. Write
Hmm.
down things you're grateful for every day. I always do like a challenge for people. We're getting ready to be the first of the month, so it's like every day for 1 month, write down 5 things you're grateful for, and at the end of the month, you're going to have at least 150 things. Write down 5 to 10 things you're grateful for, and and it can't be the same thing. I woke up today. Oh yes, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be able to write something down. I've seen people write stuff down that when I went to work this morning, I got all of the green lights. Or when I went to go to the grocery store, what I needed was right at the I got a good parking space right at the front. What I needed was close to the door. There was nobody in self checkout, so that I was in and out in like 5 minutes. Just any little thing that you can be grateful for. You talk to somebody you haven't talked to for a long time. You saw a picture of somebody who just had a brand new grandbaby. Somebody just a friend of yours just adopted a kid. There's so many things to be grateful for. Once you start writing things down, I've had people say, "Oh my gosh, I wrote down 25 things today." I said, "But that doesn't get you off, right? You keep writing at least 5 to 10 things every day. But once you start to write, that's what the drilling. Once you start to write, so cognitive behavioral therapy is changing your mind around things, and because
Mm,
the mind and the body are all connected. If you're
they
feeling
are.
bad and down, that's your body. That's we talked earlier about headaches and stomach aches because you're stressed.
Right.
Change your mind, change your body, and basically change your life. So
Yes.
just do what you need to do. And if you have to reach out to somebody, journal it, talk to a friend, do whatever. Just, start being happier for your life. And if somebody's a negative Nelly, that's okay. Let them be a negative Nelly. That's fine.
That's right. Let them have that energy. You don't have to adopt it, right? Bonnie,
Right. And no,
what?
it's okay. If that's somebody's mindset, it's okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, Bonnie, what last words of wisdom would you share with our audience today before we close out? Did you hear me?
Did we, I think we froze a little bit. You're asking what, more words of wisdom, or what were you asking?
Yes. What are the last words of wisdom you would have today to share with our audience?
Okay. We're almost officially in holiday season. Try not to have a stressful season. Get along with everybody. Be happy. Think about your goals for 2025. I had like a saying I was using before for our goals for every year. It's Phoenix Rising Coach You, help you to soar in 2024 so that you would thrive in 2025 and rise like a phoenix in 2026.
Nice.
So, what are your New Year's resolutions yep, what are your resolutions for next year? What do you need to do to make them come true? What is your why? Why do you want to make more money? Why do you want to get fit? Why do you want to change your job? Why? So peel the onion, go dig deep. What is your why? And just go for it. Just don't darn the torpedoes. I don't curse so much. I don't want to say damn the torpedoes, but darn the torpedoes, and just do it. Don't worry about other people's opinions. Now, this day and age, we have so many extra things we can do, side gigs we can do online. If you have a car, you can do deliveries. There's so many things to do. Think of what your strengths are. What is it that you love to do, and do that. Can you get paid? If you can get paid for that, that's beautiful. Do what you love, and you always love what you do.
That's right. Very good words to close out by today, Bonnie. And I'm going to put all of your links in the description box below this video. So if our audience would like to have you as their coach or go through some CBT, cognitive behavioral training with you or therapy, I guess that would be the same thing as training, training therapy. It kind of goes
Right,
hand in
right.
hand, I believe. So um, that way they can contact you with a click. Okay. And thank you so much for being my
That's
guest today. I
perfect. Thank you very
appreciate you
much.
taking the time out of your schedule to lend us your energy and your wise words today.
Well, thank you, Dee, for having me on your podcast. I really enjoyed myself. Let me know if you have any questions personally about anything. I'm an open book, and I'll let you know whatever's going on in my life. So I hope everybody has a rock solid day, week, rest of the year, rock solid 2026. Rise like a phoenix in 2026.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode of Spiritually Speaking today. I will put Bonnie's links in the description box below the video for you if you would like to look for those and contact her. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because that's how this video gets out to more and more people and they find out about this channel and get the help they need here. So thank you all. And until next time, I love you all.
Bye bye, everybody. Have a great